Hi, I'm Tracy Judge, founder and CEO of Soundings, and I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about how you can leverage an agile workforce. Soundings, it has two brands. Soundings Connect is our network of freelancers who we match with customers that need freelance support. And Soundings Thrive is our freelance network where we provide education and community for freelancers in the meetings and events and association markets. So since COVID, we've seen a lot of changes, obviously, in our industry, and it's impacted a lot of planners within the industry as well. And one thing that we've seen is that event organizers need freelance talent more than they've ever before. And this is because they have smaller teams. So whether you're an association or a third party, and even some corporate companies, unfortunately, we've seen a lot of attrition during the pandemic. And as we build back up, we're going to be operating with smaller teams than we had before. And freelancers can be a great way to supplement that team during peak times or for skill sets that you need. Also, with hybrid events coming down the pike here, we know there's a lot more work that's going to go into events between hybrid events and COVID compliance. In addition, everybody's learning how to do this. So the hours spent are usually higher as well. As we all know, budgets are cut, especially in the industries that were impacted the most by COVID. And one of the things that we've seen is that so many new skills are needed in the marketplace right now. It's not just meetings and events either. It's in a lot of different industries. But specifically to meetings and events, we've seen a real demand for new talent. In the beginning of the pandemic, we really looked at the market and who needed assistance. And during that time, virtual event platforms were really busy, and we had amazing talent from the events industry. They just didn't have experience with virtual events. But what we found is that the skill sets of planners aligned with what was needed with webcast producers. So we looked at experience and their strengths and looked at how it could adapt in this new world. And why we found meeting planners were really good as webcast producers was because what it really took was someone that had a lot of emotional intelligence and was really good at stakeholder management and handling VIPs. And then from a technology standpoint, running webcasts is much easier than running a full session in a breakout room. You don't need the same type of technology experience. So we were able to look at that position and figure out how do we resource it with people within the industry. And we've done that with a lot of different positions as well. I'm sure you've seen a lot of these. COVID compliance specialists, a lot of people are learning and getting certifications on this now. Virtual event planners, virtual event concierge, there to help the attendees get on, troubleshoot issues, and figure out where they're going to go, just where you would in a live event. But with all of these positions means planners have different roles they need to fill, and in a lot of cases, more of them. And the freelance market is a great place to find these special skill sets for when you need it. And the freelance economy is pretty significant. It contributes 1.5 trillion globally annually. There are 77 million freelancers today, and 45% of those freelancers are providing skilled labor. So what this means is we think about the gig economy and we think about the freelance economy. And where I see the difference is really in that skilled labor piece. So it's people that have specialties and, in marketing, finance, events, you name it. And this is, one of the most shocking statistics that I found when I first started researching the freelance economy. But by 2027, it's predicted that the freelance workforce is going to be the workforce majority. And, um, this was pre-COVID that they found this, and COVID has changed a lot as far as freelancing goes. And what it has done is it's broken down a lot of the barriers that exist for freelancers. So when I would speak about this very early on, about 3 years ago, I presented at my first IMEX, and I spoke about how we were in a good economy and wouldn't always be. So we should start, changing the cultures within our departments or organizations. So when we needed freelance staff, we had the culture to plug them in and get their teams comfortable with people working from home. Well, as we know, everybody was forced to work at home during this time, and everybody had to adapt. And it's become the norm for all of us. And we might like it. Some might like it. Some might not like it. Some will stay virtually, or some will be hybrid. But the fact of the matter is, we learned how to do it, and it's no longer it's no longer an oddity to have remote staff supplementing yours. The other thing that it changed was all of the technologies that we need for freelancers to be successful are also now the norm. So Zoom, for instance, wasn't highly used pre-pandemic, and now it is. Project management tools really became a lot more important for communication with not being able to be in person. Slack for communication as well. We see a lot more chats going on to be able to communicate, and then collaboration platforms as well. I use Mural. There's a lot of them out there, but a lot of the technologies that help with virtual collaboration are now utilized by all. And this is a really good thing for freelancers, but it's a really good thing for all of you as well if you're a corporate planner, because now you know how to use the tools that will make you successful working with freelancers and managing freelancers. And I'll say one of the really great things I've learned about the freelancers we work with as well is freelancers work on all different types of platforms because they're always working with different clients. So once you learn the language of one type of platform, it's very easy to adapt to the other platforms like that. For instance, I used Salesforce in my last role. I use Zoho now. I learned the language on Salesforce. It makes it much easier to learn the next. And of course, the work from anywhere culture has become a real thing now. And we are going to see, especially in the coming months when companies are bringing their employees back to work, we're going to see a lot of attrition if people are being forced to go back. And freelancing really gives people the opportunities to work from anywhere as well, which that flexibility is something we've all gotten used to, but also that the younger generations are really looking forward to and are really going to start demanding as well. So, with all of these factors of cultural changes within organizations, and then all of the technology being now really well used, and the demand from the work from home culture, it's going to start increasing the demand for freelancers, but it's also going to start increasing the supply of freelancers as new freelancers start to enter the market. So if you are interested in using freelancers to help operate your events, and again, we have customers that plug a freelancer in for 5 hours to run a webcast day of, or they might need 10 hours of a graphic designer to help them with the branding for their event. So it could be they could run a whole project that's 500 hours, over 6 months. But either way, however you're utilizing freelancers, there's certain things that is good for you to think about, before you get started. So, what I really recommend is really looking at it holistically and looking at your team, and whether it be for a specific event or departmentally, look at your team and figure out what skills and competencies are needed in today's event world to run that event. And then work with your team on this and talk with your team about it. And together, you want to see where are your gaps and redundancies now. It's going to be much different than it was 12 months ago, or especially 18 months ago. So if you work together on that, it can be, I think the word redundancy right now is a hard word to hear, but it is very important as teams to understand where your redundancies are, because you may have teammates that may be really strong in a different area as well. So identify the gaps and redundancies, and then look at it and figure out what of these roles that you have left are the easiest to outsource. So the easiest ones to outsource are specialties, where you can give really clear direction and scope about what you want. For instance, graphic design, website building. What's also easy to outsource is a full project. So if you are, say, a third party, and you have a lot of business coming in and it's all overlapping on each other, the best way to handle that may be to take the smaller meetings, and maybe they're more cookie cutter, and then outsource those to freelancers that have great project management skills and let them take the whole program on. It's not going to be the same for everyone or every organization. I think depending on the event you're operating, sometimes the role may be easy to outsource, and other times it may be really difficult to outsource. So look at it event by event as well. And what we think is really important is to really look at what strengths and personality types you have on your team, and which strengths of freelancers will make your team stronger as well. And events is one of those businesses, we all know personality matters, and the culture at companies is much different. So we want to make sure that you're bringing freelancers in that do align with the personality of your team. And strengths are really important. And when you're thinking about this, if you look at the strengths within your team, find freelancers that have different strengths or strengths that can complement those, because that's what is going to make you really stronger as a team. And additionally, that will give your team the ability to learn a lot more from freelancers as well. We all bring something different to the table with soft skills, and we all bring something different to the table with our, in our actual positions. So use this as an opportunity to really help your team grow as well. So where to source talent? There are many different ways you can source talent. You can source talent directly. You can leverage social media to try to find talent, or there's many different freelance networks out there. There's really broad networks like freelancer.com or Upwork. You can find any type of talent there. And then there's more niche markets as well, like Fiverr for creative, for instance. For us, for Soundings, we focus on events and the association market as well. So these networks like ours are really great because you're able to find freelancers that really work best for you. And we do a lot of the work for you. So you have people that know all the freelancers, and they know their strengths, they know their experience, and they're going to match you with the best one that's there. And this was a study done by Harvard, the Harvard Business Review, and they found that 90% of C-suite and frontline leaders believe high-skilled freelance platforms will be the core to their ability to compete in the future, which is a crazy statistic and really shows that industries are going towards the freelance economy. So wrapping this back up, some tips for success when working with freelancers. Regular communication is key. We have the technology to do it now. Being clear about roles and expectations and knowing how to delegate, and knowing then the freelancers will know when they're successful that way. And then leverage the freelancers for their expertise and use them for the specialties that you need on your team, not only to operate that part of your event, but for you and your team to learn from them as well. So thank you so much. It was so great to be here. We've been working with Cadence for the past year. They were one of our first partners. So thank you so much for having us here today. Here's our contact information. And again, I'm Tracy Judge, founder of Soundings, and I'll see you soon.